that there is plenty for you to talk about at the moment.
There is literally too much, though. That's the problem. There is an abundance of material to a very real problematic extent. It would be much more convenient if there was less, more focused stuff coming out of the White House. It is just a fire hose of right. So the problem with that is when it's coming at you that fast, it's hard to filter out the stuff that means something, that means nothing, that you can ignore, that you must not ignore at all costs. It's difficult to regain perspective when you're just drowning all the time. So that's the scary thing sometimes, is that you want to make sure that you are not getting distracted by the smoke bombs coming out of the White House all the time.
How do you do that?
It's not easy, right? It's a case-by-case basis. You want to kind of retain your ability to be shocked, right? Because the dangerous thing, if we just get calloused to, oh, everything is hell, then it's too easy not to think that something is an aberration when it is. Like that's the problem with his response to Charlottesville is so heinous. You want to make sure that he still has the capacity to hurt you, right?
Does he hurt you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah.
Do you actually feel that when you're writing and thinking and talking about it?
Definitely. If you don't feel that, you've got a real problem, right? If you've become so emotionally anaesthetized to appalling by any rational metric statements, then like as a comedian you've got a problem, but also just as a society you're in some real like it's important to bruise when you've been hit.
Does he have any strengths, do you think, Donald Trump?
He definitely has strengths. I'm just not sure that he knows entirely what they are or is in control of them. So like a strength is that he has these rhetorical smoke bombs, right? He has the power of that bully pulpit. He can distract people very easily. I don't know if he deploys that skill in a way that is coherent or strategic, but I do think that it can be of use to people that work with him, because like when everyone's looking at a kind of a clown car pile-up, that it's possible to get things done in the shadows. Now that's been difficult at the moment because there's a whole different level of innate incompetence at the heart of American government at the moment, so they're not able to get as much through as you would think for a White House that also controls both houses.
Sometimes when you're talking about him, you look genuinely concerned to camera. I mean, do you think that he represents a genuine threat to this country?
Well, I guess the short answer to that is yes. That he's a threat to this country. Yeah, I guess because he's a fundamental threat to the institutions that this country is built on, in a way that is not usually the case with a president on this scale, right? He is taking an axe to some pretty fundamental parts of American governance. Or what he's doing with the State Department is going to have ramifications for years after he has gone. There's a brain drain in government that it will take generations to recover from. So he's delivering quite a blow to American government.
But lots of people voted for him. Do you understand why?
They did. I think, there's not one reason why, right? There's a lot of reasons that people would vote for him. Some good, many bad.
You developed a reputation for making British politics interesting.
Really?
Yep. So, how are you going to do that with the Brexit negotiations?
Well, I would argue there's nothing that is not interesting about the British negotiations, because that is a show of the highest water. That it's we've done multiple pieces on Brexit, right? We did one just before the vote. We did a quick piece after that particular decision, and then we did a kind of update for people alongside the snap election that Theresa May so wisely called. I'm trying to get Americans to understand this, not just the scale of the decision that Britain has made, but also how completely impossible these negotiations that they're going into are. This is like going into a negotiation with absolutely no leverage and pretending that you control everything.
Do you think there should be a second referendum?
Well, ideally, yes, because it seems odd to make a decision based on information that was at best misleading, see the potential ramifications of that decision, and then be held to what may have been a misinformed choice. Now, if people still want it, that's fine. But I think if you still want it on the terms that are being presented to you, that's very different from wanting it on the terms that were presented to you on the side of a dumb red bus.
Which you dealt with a lot in your
Well, it
in your
was
segments.
stupid.
Yeah.
It was a stupid thing to do, and a misleading statement and number.
Speaking about misleading statements,
Yeah.
how do you guys approach the issue of and the accusations around so-called fake news? Because your show is very tightly researched. You obviously
Yes,
spend a lot
of course,
of time making sure your facts are right.
Yeah.
Has
'Cause we'd
fake
be
news
toast.
made it harder?
Has it made it harder?
Yeah, harder for you to connect with people, do your jobs.
Oh, because you mean people would just assume we're lying?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to some extent that's a problem. Like, it's a really nonsense dismissal, this fake news term, which is, what is so enticing about it. I mean, we meticulously research all the stories we do because we take some pretty big swings at politicians and corporations, especially with the corporations, right? If we get that wrong, it's probably over for us, realistically. Like, if you're doing a piece about Philip Morris tobacco and you get details wrong, we're probably done.
You're the opposite of fake news.
Well, I mean, we can't be fake, right? Partly because of the consequences that would come with that,